Donald Trump, he announced that this rescue mission was successful on social media. That was overnight. He said, we got him, and he also said that this was one of the most daring rescue operations in the history of the United States. He said that he monitored it closely with other top officials, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, as well as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And we are learning some more details about what it took and how complex this all was. It involved dozens of aircraft and hundreds of military personnel and intelligence personnel. We know that CIA operatives led a misinformation campaign in hopes of sending anyone looking to capture this missing service member in the wrong direction. But ultimately it was successful. The administration is celebrating that. They are relieved. And we do know that we're going to hear more from Trump tomorrow. He had announced that he will be speaking with the press on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's here at the White House. It was originally slated to be in the Oval Office. They now say that it's going to take place in the briefing room, which likely means that more reporters will have access and there will be more questions, not only about this rescue mission, but on the overall Operation Epic Fury and where things stand right now.
And he's also talking a lot about the Strait of Hormuz and this deadline. What more is he saying on that?
He has repeatedly made this threat that he would target Iranian power facilities if they do not fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz, that critical waterway where 20% of the world's oil typically passes through. His deadline here has shifted because he made this threat originally late last month, and it was a 48-hour deadline. Then he put that on pause for 5 days, extended it another 10. He had been saying that the deadline was on Monday, and now it appears that he is making that deadline Tuesday. He had a post today on Easter morning, I might add, that I'm going to pull up for you with a warning that it is a bit jarring. There's a lot of profanity in this post, but I'll read it for you now. He said, quote, Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the, and then he used profanity that I'm not going to read directly, but it's there on your screen straight. You crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. He then signed that post like he usually does, Donald J. Trump. I will note that an Iranian senior official did respond to that ultimatum, saying that the strait would be opened only when Iran was fully compensated for financial damages during the conflict.
All right, Julia Benbrook at the White House, thank you for that reporting. We are joined now by CNN senior political and global affairs commentator Rahm Emanuel, who previously served as U.S. ambassador to Japan and mayor of Chicago, among many other jobs. But Rahm, good to have you here with us. We've talked about Trump's post for the last several hours. I've read it in full many times. I'll put it up again so people can take a look at it. But a couple things stick out, obviously the language, but also where he says praise be to Allah, kind of a swipe at Islam as well. It feels like you have this post. We also have this kind of inflection point where he's threatening a real escalation in this war while these talks, these diplomatic talks are going on. What is your sense of where we are in all of this right now?
Well, Jessica, first of all, happy Easter to you, your family. Obviously, the president's post is not in that spirit in any way. Two things I would say. We went in to destroy or degrade Iran's capability of getting a nuclear weapon. They found out in this process that they have a nuclear option. It's called closing the Strait of Hormuz. And you see this president like literally look like a toddler in a high chair banging his spoon with food all over his face. We've gone from peace to we're going to destroy your country, and he's all over the place because he got into something. He started a war with no explanation of why, fighting a war in which he can't define for anybody what victory looks like, and can't tell you how he's going to leave it. And so he's literally taking aim at everybody and anything between. And I also think a second piece, I look at that, obviously it's so unpresidential, doesn't need to be discussed, and it looks unhinged, feels unhinged. But also, we have lost the ability to have strategic communication, which is essential to the Iranian people who don't trust their own government. the President of the United States has missed every opportunity to address them in a way that would be strategically poignant in the same way that the Iranian government, what's left of it, communicates not only to the American people, but to world public opinion in a very smart, strategic way. And that is a component of this, and I think that the troops, the servicemen and women in all branches of the military, deserve a commander-in-chief who's going to give them air cover and use his tools wisely.
Yeah, I mean, to your point with the Iranian people, at the very beginning of this, the president said it's your time, stand up and take it back. And now there's been back and forth over whether regime change is objective or not. But now we're also threatening to bomb infrastructure that would mean maybe they don't have power and other things like that. So knowing all of that, obviously you worked as chief of staff during the Obama administration. You were part of an administration that handled Iran and negotiating with Iran. What would you do right now?
Well, I think there's two things I would say. On the short term, rather than try to open up the Strait of Hormuz, I would say, the alternative is it's closed to everybody. It's either open to everybody or closed to everybody. The idea that we're fighting Iran, trying to degrade both their strategic capacities, and yet they get to sell more oil, are making more money than ever before without sanctions, never has happened ever in American history. Ever. And we've just given Russia an $80 billion gift and the price of oil, and taken sanctions not only off of their oil industry, but also executives that I think elements of the administration are having business discussions with. It's nuts. Number two, on a longer term basis, Iran's whole theory is to push America out of the Gulf. We have 40,000 troops through Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. I would take the Abraham Accords, which is a peace agreement between Israel and Gulf countries, and expand its definition. One, if you're part of the Abraham Accords, you get no tariffs. We eliminate them all. Two, if you're part of the Abraham Accords, you get first in line for weapons from the United States, in the sense of get in front of the queue. Third, the Abraham Accords is going to finance pipelines like Saudi Arabia has, but for all the other Gulf countries to the Red Sea, so the Strait of Hormuz never becomes a choke point again. So immediately, open to everybody, but closed to everybody. So there's pain really felt in Iran. It's not like China and Iran get economic benefit from this while we're fighting, our men and women are risking their lives. Second, use the Abraham Accords and expand its definition so America doubles down in the region and is seen by our Gulf allies who are now nervous about the relationship with the United States that we are there to stay and to protect them. That would be what I would do long-term, short-term, but I will say one other thing. Nobody can unring the bell that Donald Trump rang. That's the problem we're all in. We're in the fix of a president who can't define why, how, and when.
And I do want to ask you about that last point, and as it pertains to our allies, both in the Gulf and around the world. Many countries are facing an energy crisis due to the chokehold there in the Strait. Obviously, you were ambassador to Japan for many years. They have been suffering from this as well.
Yeah.
How is this war impacting our relationship with allies, and what is the importance of that, I think, to the American people who may be watching at home saying, yeah, it also is impacting us in the sense that gas is more expensive, all of these things. But what is it? Why does it matter that it's impacting our relationships around the world?
Well, first of all, the President of the United States never consulted any allies, never had any dialogue. As I said again, not regardless of what your position on the war is, he could have said, I sat at the negotiating table for months trying to find a peaceful way to resolve this. And the American word is worth defending. And every president before me has given that word. He even lost a political opportunity to raise the level of what we were about to do. Now, Japan, Korea, other countries in the Indo-Pacific specifically, they can import about 90% of their energy from that region. So not only were they consulted, their now economy is suffering because of this decision. And it's going to suffer even worse because they are more dependent on that region for their oil and gas. And this is going to come at a major, major impact. One other thing to give you a calculation, it didn't exactly on Jessica what you asked, but while we're all tied up with what's happening in the Gulf and the battle against Iran, China just announced in the in the South China Sea, where the Philippines are, a treaty ally country for the United States, they're building a new fake island on the coral reefs there. showing that as we take our eye away from it, China is putting a stranglehold where 14% of the entire world's fish are caught and 40% of the entire world's seaborne GDP sails through. So we're distracted, and they're literally, they haven't done this in 3 years or 5 years, put another island there, firming their control of the South China Sea, risking the Philippines, Vietnam, and other countries, and the whole world's economy, where they're going to put a chokehold on it. And we have no response because all our assets, military-wise, and our attention is in Iran and in the Gulf.
All right, Rahm Emanuel, good to have
Can
you.
I
Thanks
say
for
one
that.
thing?
Yeah,
Can
go
I
ahead.
add one thing?
Yeah.
I want to specifically to the Army general that was fired. I want to thank the Army General George, Randy George, I worked with him as ambassador. He is a true American hero and deserves all our praise for his selflessness, his sacrifice, and his service for this country and a career built to it. I want to thank you and your family for what you have done.
All right, Rahm Emanuel, good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.